Hello, and thank you for joining me on this new video I decided to make for you guys. I figured that you guys probably have some questions for me, and I could answer some questions for you that I wrote down and figured would be good to answer. And so, here we go. Do you remember your past life as Jimi Hendrix? I did kind of say that answer in that first video, like right at the end. And the answer is actually no. I do not have memories of my life as Jimi Hendrix. And the next question would be, why now are you saying you are Jimi Hendrix? Instead of waiting. The answer for that one is, I just found out. I just felt it. And I knew it after that. That is who I was. Hard to describe. I don't know if you ever met anybody who says they got goosebumps in their body from some different situations. There's a lot of different ways, not a lot of different ways, but there's a few different ways that people will get goosebumps in their life for specific reasons or ways. And I cannot say why it's now, but you have to trust the process, you know. You can't worry about how it will work out. It not only delays the process and blocks the creativity. And we have to move past overthinking and align with faith. You have to slow down enough to hear the solution. But the truth, you have to trust that everything you have asked for is making its way to you and the delays are being resolved. And blessings are always on time. You are the one that is impatient. And we have to remember that divine timing is always perfect. Those words were from a picture that I actually had found and saw only a few days after Saturday. And I was trying to figure out that same answer. Why now? I mean, I'm 41 years old. Why didn't I lead an entire life knowing I was Jimi Hendrix in my past life? But I wasn't born knowing that. I was born knowing I am a polytheist angel. And I told people that. And I will talk about that a little bit more on the next questions coming up. And then the next question is, can I play the guitar? And the truth is, I actually cannot play the guitar yet. I had several opportunities to try to learn and had a guitar, acoustic guitar at my disposal to use several different times in life. And one of my friends growing up, his name was Colin, he started his own band and he could play the guitar. He learned the guitar, I believe it was. He learned that. But he was more of a singer. And I didn't get to see him a lot, but there was times that I could have learned from him about singing and about playing the guitar. But all those times I held the guitar, it didn't feel right. I don't know, it didn't feel like I was supposed to play it yet. Like, it wasn't time. It didn't feel uncomfortable. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel natural. Now, I didn't even at the time growing up know about right hand or left hand guitar players. I just thought growing up everyone was a right-handed player. And another question is, do you plan on learning the guitar? And that is yes, I do plan on learning the guitar now. And I will be putting one layaway this coming week because I am going to be donating plasma. And in my city, they pay you money to donate plasma. And they're having an advertisement right now, or I don't know if it's all the time, but they're saying that you can get up to $900 in your first month for new people. So I will, within a month, own a guitar and an amp. And I also plan on buying 2 guitars and learning the left hand. Because I feel that should come natural to me, because that's the way Jimi Hendrix played. And I went down to the shop, and they actually had one acoustic and one electric guitar that was left-handed. And they had, everyone plays right-handed, so they have a bunch of different right-handed ones. And when I grabbed those and tried them in my hands, I didn't have that same old feeling that I had growing up. Several different times I held a guitar in my hand. It actually felt good. It felt natural. Like, I can play this. It's time to learn. It felt right. And the dogs are outside now, so you might hear dogs barking. I could yell at them to shut up, but that only lasts for so long. They just like to bark at dumb stuff. Another question you guys might have is, can I write songs? Or can I write? Am I a writer of any kind in life? Has my life led that way at all? And that answer is yes. But no, I haven't wrote songs in life. I'm not a songwriter yet. But I have wrote a lot of poems. And a lot of those poems could be turned into songs. I just need to sing them in a different way than I say them, because I'm used to saying them in a certain kind of way that you could hear me, that I've shared in the poems I have on this channel right now. I made a video with all of them that I had videos of and wrote them out into a video. And can I sing is a question. That is to be determined. I feel like I can sing. I had lessons a little bit growing up. I was in chorus in 5th grade, but I was just in the back. But our whole class, we did it for a whole year, and we did a lot of recitals. We didn't go all over places, but we had several recitals, and I got an award for being in that. And I was part of a few musicals, plays. And another question was, can I dance? I can't really dance like some kind of rapper person or jolt around the stage like a rock star person or any musical person who's on stage dancing around on stage. I don't have experience in that, but you know, everyone can move to the music their own kind of way, and I can do that. I had learned how to tap dance through a play called The Wind and the Willows. It was a musical version. I got to learn how to tap dance and sing a little bit at the same time. It wasn't super hard moves for tap dancing. So I can kind of dance, but not really dance. So, another question I'm sure will come up eventually by somebody is, do I do any drugs? Or would I be tempted to do any hard drugs in my life, growing up, or in the future? And in reference to the way Jimi Hendrix did in his life. So that answer is a no on doing hard drugs. I have used a few drugs, but they're not really like drugs to me because they weren't man-made substances. I have used mushrooms naturally out of cow patty. I did that for an entire summer once. Not like, you know, every day. You gotta wait for them to grow back in the cow patties, so we had to wait however long, but I was on a farm with a macadamia nut. I picked macadamia nuts for summer. And on the other side of the fence were some cows. And I didn't, you know, go there just for that. I thought it was more of an idea of, would they have those there? Do they really grow there? Can you really eat them and have that kind of experience? And so I did that a little bit. But after that one summer, it's not like I continued to try and pursue doing shrooms over and over throughout my whole life. It was a part of an experience to learn about, an experience to be about. And would I try them again? I would try them again with the right people in the right situation. Because they're not a bad substance to try and experience. There's always a negative and a positive outcome by doing a substance. I have smoked weed throughout my adult life. I didn't have any weed until after I was over 18 and out of school. And for me with weed, it's not really like I did weed because I wanted to get high or I wanted to have those feelings of being high. I'm trying to escape or have an escape, or different kind of drug-related reasons that someone would smoke weed. It wasn't really, and it really isn't a drug to me. It's more of a medicine tool to use to help you in all the different new ways and old ways that people use it for. And I haven't really, you know, like wanted to do it, like I needed to do it, like I was addicted to it. It's more about using it to help with pain. And I don't always get hungry. And so I would smoke that sometimes to help me sleep and fall asleep. Help me relax. Ease tension. And the only other drugs I have done is acid. I only did that twice though. I didn't quite like how that was. But both situations weren't technically the most ideal situation to be in. So my experience wasn't what I was looking for or expected it to be like. And I had done ecstasy 3 times. But the third time was lame because I didn't get the full effect. Someone gave me a sugar pill instead of to have the double dose that everybody else had. So they had more feeling than I had. But I still had an effect. I just knew it wasn't the same as the other 2 times. And that was just, again, it was just to have an experience and see what it was really about, why people did it. But that would not tempt me to use cocaine. That would not tempt me to use heroin. That would not tempt me to use any other forms of drugs that have been created by man. There is a drug called meth that I was around a lot. And I had a friend who took me to another friend's house. And she said, "Oh, we got to hang out here for a little while because my friend wants to borrow my car." And I didn't, think anything of it at first. And it turned out that friend was delivering meth to people. And I didn't even find that out until like 2 hours later. And so I had been around it a lot growing up. And I just felt like maybe since we're here and I can probably get it for free, I asked my friend to access the other friend. I could have the smallest, minuscule line of meth just to know what it would feel like. I don't want to get all loaded. I don't want to have anything at a high level. I just want to know what it would feel like. The sensation of it. Why people want to do it. And I really didn't like it. And then one time when I was in my 20s, I had a neighbor, guy I knew, and he was into snorting oxycodone. And I don't know what came to my decision thinking, but that was the same kind of scenario where I just said to the guy, "Let me have a super small line and let me try that. What is this all about, Why would you even want to snort something up your nose? What is that even like?" And that again, I really didn't get and understand why people would go through that. Snorting anything up their nose is just not an experience you want to go through. It makes your nose burn. Both lines made your nose burn. Made you feel like you had a runny nose. It was more of a headache than something enjoyable. So I didn't ever wanted to do oxycodones up my nose again. I only did that once for both of those. And those were at least 10 years apart. No, not 10 years. I'd say over 5 years apart when I did that. I was offered several times weed with coke on it, but I turned that down because I knew what that was like. But I not using it, but I'd seen what it was like, and I didn't like that scenario. I answered this one already. How old am I? I'm 41 years old in this body. The question you guys might have is, am I a religious person? And if I'm religious, what religion or faith do I follow or followed in life? And for that question, is that growing up, religion was not forced. It wasn't something I had to learn about without having a choice. It was not something I had to do or that my mom did on a regular basis. If or when we did go to a church, it was a Christian-based church. And I have read the Bible. It's a great book, full of interesting stories and scenarios and ways to learn about everything it says in there, but I felt it was lacking something. It didn't have all the answers. So I am more spiritual than religious. And if you don't really know the difference between someone who is with religion, like, I looked it up, the definition of the word religion is not good. Yeah. If you were to look up the word religion, you'll find words like this. These exact words I could not find. But the sentences that I found match these almost exactly. In this definition, it says, from the Latin verb regulare, which means to tie back and to hold back, to thwart from forward progress, and to bind someone. Religion is a system of control based in unchallenged dogmatic belief, which holds back the progress of consciousness. And that's not what I'm about. Here is some words about what is spirituality. Spirituality is not a religion. It is not even necessarily affiliated with any religion. While the definition of spiritual can be different for everyone, here are some common themes associated with spirituality. The idea of a process or journey of self-discovery and learning, not only of who you are, but who you want to be. The challenge of reaching beyond your current limits. This can include keeping an open mind, questioning current beliefs, or trying to better understand other beliefs. A connectedness to yourself and to others. Spiritually is personal. It is also rooted in being connected with others and with the world around you. This connection can facilitate you in finding your place in the world, meaning the purpose and direction spiritually, while it doesn't necessarily solve or reach conclusion, often embraces the meaning and purpose of the direction for your life. People who are spiritual believe in a higher power, whether it is rooted in religion or in nature, or some kind of unknown essence, or if that person that believes in different religious pagan gods, or Native American gods, or Eastern gods, or Hindu gods, just all the different gods, just different beliefs, and not denying or saying those gods didn't exist, or they don't exist, or saying that one side of the gods were good and one side of the gods were bad, or my gods are better than your gods, and your gods are suck because my gods are better. We have more worshippers, and that kind of concept of background. Another example of religion and spirituality shared by a Teal Swan official on Instagram shows religion as a fish in a fishbowl of water, but that fishbowl is in the ocean, just floating around. And spirituality is like being the fish out of the fish tank, swimming around in the water. Another cool set of words about spirituality is this: spirituality does not come from religion. It comes from our soul. We must stop confusing religion and spirituality. Religion, when you look at them, they all have books. They all have a set of rules you have to follow. They all have regulations and rituals created by those higher authority figures of that religious sect or order, by the humans, which were supposed to help people spiritually. But due to the human imperfections, religion has become corrupt, a political diversity, and as a tool for power struggle over the people, to get the masses, to get people under their flock and sheep. But spirituality is not a theology or an ideology. It is simply a way of life, a pure and original, as given by the Most High. Spirituality is a network of linking us to the Most High, the universe, and each other. And that was from Haley or Holly, Cecily or Cecily. From the Mind Journal, the Mind and Journal. Another good example of spirituality is that it focuses on raising your consciousness and reaching different levels of enlightenment. And you say, well, what does consciousness mean? It means to have awareness. Awareness of what? We don't know. Or you do know. You have an idea of what awareness of the awareness is that you're aware of. It's the ability to think critically and see things for what they are. and think about them in a high intellectual, philosophical, facilitative way. Like, you just ask one simple question and that person goes on and they'll describe a whole big old thing. Because their consciousness is so much higher in awareness, and their enlightenment level, aspect of them is like this. They just will have somehow an intuitive insight about something, or they learn something and then they just have an intuitive insight that's deeper than what you can learn about it, or what is shared about it on a book or a website. And we seek to be illuminated. But that illuminated phrase does not mean we want to be a part of the Illuminati. That the Illuminati to be like now. All the ways that they've been like. It is not about that. This one also says the alignment of human energetic systems, meaning the chakras and the internal evolution of the self, being connected to the source. Soul work and intellectual work, and much more different kind of words you can describe for people who like to work on raising their consciousness and enlightenment. So that's a good answer for my religious. My religious background is being spiritual, and also in this life I am also very spiritual based through the Native American tribes, because in this life I am actually half Cherokee. So that influenced me a lot to know, growing up, that I was Native American. That had a big influence on me to understand things at a deeper level. But I don't necessarily know every speck of information of being of different Native American spiritual ways. I'm not a shaman. I'm not I'm not a master of knowing the shamanic ways and spiritual ways of the different Native American tribes. Because they're all different. Some of them have similar spirits and gods that represent the same kind of aspects, but they're different. Each tribe has different names for God, different names for the spirit animals that they connected to and got answers from. Some of you might wonder if I'll actually, when I was growing up, a fan of Jimi Hendrix before I found out and felt that I was Jimi Hendrix in my past life. And surprisingly, you might think I was, but I wasn't necessarily like a fan of Jimi Hendrix, like a fan would be of Jimi Hendrix. I knew who he was growing up. I heard his music growing up, but I never owned and downloaded or had his words or a CD or a record, vinyl record of Jimi Hendrix. I only heard some of his songs and movies. So those are the ones I mostly knew about. I didn't even know how many songs he had. I had not done any research to learn about him until this past Saturday, on the 11th of this month, of this video of June 11th. So, based on what I know so far, 'cause I have, this is what ways I feel I am like. Because the question would be, how am I like Jimi Hendrix in my life, and how am I not like Jimi Hendrix in this life? To my understanding of what his life was like and what my life was like, we were both loner people. We were both into doing what we were doing. Except what I was doing was a little bit different than the way his life was. To be like, and to be into what he was into. I was and am deeply into music. I have owned different music, and I will talk about that next. And so, for me, I was actually born different to begin with here, like I was saying before. I was born knowing I was a potheist. And I told people that growing up. But before I was even in school, I did not speak English. I spoke a different language. I had to go into special ed classes. But even before I could even go to school or to start first grade and second grade, I had to do speech therapy and learn to speak English. Because of the language that I spoke, which later in time became called the light language, or the angel language, or in some religious orders picked it up and they call it speaking in tongues. And I fluently spoke that. And then I could spit out some words in English over time. And then through speech therapy, I stopped speaking it fluently. And they made me forget about talking that way for a long time. I didn't speak that way. So for me, I wasn't into trying to play an instrument, but I didn't have friends like Jimi Hendrix. But he did have friends at first, and he hung out with people. But then he got into playing the guitar, and that was all he wanted to do. Because he got that flow, but I got that flow too in life. The same exact flow he was connected to was the same flow I got connected to in this life again. But for me, it was through poetry, not writing songs and trying to play music songs. But when I got introduced to it in school, it took over me the same way it took over Jimmy. I became fascinated with poetry. I wrote it all the time. I used to own 5 journal books, and they were full of poems. But over time, I lost them. But those were just mostly homework poems that I had to do. And then I made different versions of the homework poems. And I did actually get the chance to keep some of those ones. I had them in a binder. So I did that a lot. And I was into playing video games. But not just, any kind of video games. It had to be an adventure. It had to be learning something. It had to be growing. It had to be accomplishing something. I couldn't just play a game, it would get boring. Some games I couldn't play very long, while other games I could spend hours and hours character developing, or they call it grinding in the game, to build up your characters, to gain levels, and gaining experience. And another way I played role-playing games with dice and character sheets. One was called Dungeons and Dragons. I played that as much as I could when I had friends I could go hang out with that didn't live far away, or actually played during school break at recess. Another one was called Werewolf the Apocalypse, Star Wars, 6-sided dice before there was the 20-sided dice version. I played Shadowrun, Vampire the Masquerade, one that's called Rifts, and they had a branch to one called the Palladian books. If you could interconnect both of them, so you could play whatever character from each of the books. So I did a lot of that. And though I don't play the guitar, I did in school learn to play the saxophone. But I don't remember how to play the saxophone anymore, because I only did it for 1 year in 5th grade. In 6th grade, I did learn to play the drum. And that I kind of stuck with, playing the drums throughout life after that, but not like I remember how to read the book. I just mean that, using your fingers are drumsticks. I owned my drumsticks from 6th grade for over 25 years. The same exact drumsticks. And I use them all the time, listening to the different music I would be listening to, pretending I was playing those songs. But like Jimi Hendrix, I did teach myself how to play an instrument. I can play the harmonica, but I don't know how to read any books. I don't know what each little bar in the harmonica is. I know they're called different notes, but I couldn't tell you what they are. And for me, the way I learned is just the same way Jimi did, by sound. My mom had a few CDs that had harmonica in them, and so I would practice playing them. But I don't practice on a regular basis. I just got good at it. And when nobody was home, or I felt comfortable somewhere else, not at home, like somewhere, maybe I would take my harmonica with me and play. But like Jimi, I'm really a shy person. Being in special ed kind of makes you shy and awkward and different. People knew you're in special ed growing up in school, so I was treated differently by other kids. And just like Jimi Hendrix grew up in a rough area of being black, in a white area, I grew up in an opposite situation. I grew up on the Big Island of Hawaii. And as you saw, possibly in the other video, I'm not a black man, I'm white. Or mostly looking white, unless I get some sun. And I'll get a nice, awesome tan. Golden brownish tan. But that didn't matter. I grew up on the Big Island, which is, at the time of the 80s, was prominently Asian and Hawaiian people. So I got teased a lot growing up, which made me really shy. And so, I didn't practice anything outwardly very much. And I didn't really even sing very much. I just would lip sing songs sometimes that I liked. So that's how we were both alike in that way. I also learned that Jimi Hendrix was actually a spiritual guy also. But what extent, I don't know. I just heard some about it. I haven't learned everything about his life. But I will remember it. I know I will. Otherwise, what would be the point of me knowing and getting the goosebumps and being told that yes, I was Jimi Hendrix in the past life, if not to remember it, to share it, to honor it, and to live up to it, to his name and all he did, and all that I am as a polytheist angel, and all that I know I am as a polytheist angel, and why I came here again. And so, just like Jimi Hendrix, I really loved music. And so I wanted to share some of the bands and artists in life that have influenced me as a question, who are some of the artists that I've liked. And I wrote a whole page of names. So I'll go through it later on. If someone asks me the same question specifically, why I liked these people, or what about them, I will say a little bit that it wasn't every single song that these people have made or will make if they're still alive. For a lot of them, it's the music. I really like music. It doesn't even have to have any words. So some of the music in this list doesn't even have any words. And then some of them, it's only the words I like, and not the music necessarily compared to the words. And then some of them, I like the words and the music, the flow of which the music flowed, and then the way the words flowed as they're being sung. So I will go through this list now. Some names you might know, some names you might not know, depends who you are. Some of them are old and some of them are new. Because again, I grew up in the 80s, 90s, 2000 and now. So, I don't have them in a specific order. I just started writing them down and I was like, oh yeah, this person, oh yeah, this person, oh yeah, these guys. So here we go. I liked Tom Petty, really cool. I loved Creed. Korn is really awesome. Metallica was awesome. Collective Soul have made some really awesome songs. Marilyn Manson has some interesting songs. A group called Typo Negative. Soundgarden is awesome. They've made some interesting good songs. I like Madonna, Nelly Furtado, some Drake, some Tool, some Eminem, The Notorious B.I.G. had some cool songs. Jim Morrison. With Jim Morrison earlier, when my friend Matt was talking about names he was thinking of, I actually thought kinda in myself, in my past life, I could have been Jim Morrison because of the way he made poems before he got famous and became a singer person. And he wrote some interesting poems. So I thought maybe I had a connection to him, or I knew him in a past life. So that helped me want to become a poetry person in this life. But turns out that yes, I did know Jim Morrison, because Jimi Hendrix knew Jim Morrison, and they knew each other briefly and met and talked, and I don't know how their relationship was like, but they knew each other, I heard, while listening to different videos about his life. I've listened to about his bio life. That was on A&E. And then there's a set of 1 through 7 of people talking about Jimmy in their own words. That's really neat. I've almost made it through the whole thing of that. There's only 2 videos left. I like Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, John Mellencamp had some cool songs. Sting's got a cool voice. I liked a few Billy Idol songs. I really liked Trent Reznor, 9 Inch Nails songs. He's got a really good songs about life. And then the way he plays the guitar, or electronic guitar, reminds me of a different kind of version of Jimi Hendrix. That's the way he makes his music sound. I really liked some Nicki Minaj songs, some Megan Thee Stallion songs. And even though he doesn't exist in real life, the Stat songs in Queen of the Damned are really cool. I know there was the voice by watching the soundtrack, not the soundtrack, but the behind the special features. The Stat's voice was really a mixture of voices of Korn and Marilyn Manson, and I think somebody else. I'm not sure who else it was. It's a mixture of voices all in one. Sounds pretty cool, and the words are interesting in those songs. I like a few Alice in Chains songs. I've liked a few songs from the Blade 1 soundtrack, from the Blade Trinity soundtrack, and I believe there's 1 or 2 from the Blade 2, but I think I only downloaded 1. Romeo and Juliet had some good soundtrack songs. Another common thing that Jimi Hendrix and I both have is that we both like classical music. I really love Beethoven and Bach and Tchaikovsky and a couple others that I don't know their names right now. I didn't ever own all their CDs, but I have owned Beethoven CD and a Bach CD. It was really awesome. Oh, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings music soundtracks. Some of those have no words, but some of them do. Those are really amazing songs. You don't even realize our whole song. You just hear sometimes just a short version of it in the movie. And the Braveheart had cool Scottish songs in it with the bagpipe. I liked the Beatles growing up. I haven't really heard too many of Foreigner songs, but I really like the Wayward Son song that they used in the Supernatural show. I really like some Bob Marley songs. I don't own any of Elton John's songs, but I've heard a few songs of his that I like. I've liked some Guns N' Roses. I've liked Iggy Azalea, some Selena Gomez, an artist named Angie from Switzerland. She also goes by fucking Angie. I like her first one or two CDs. I didn't totally like her newer songs yet. I haven't heard them that many times. There's a interesting group called Atreyu. He made a CD called The Curse. I like some of the words more than the way he sings. There's two guys, I believe, in the songs. One guy kind of screams and yells, kind of like, and the other guy is really calm sounding. So it's an interesting mixture of hearing both of those in the song, and the words are interesting. I've liked Taylor Swift's song, an Imagine Dragons song. I've liked Aaliyah's song, the cool soundtrack songs for Star Wars. Kanye West has made some cool songs. Katy Perry's made some cool songs. And Phil Collins has made some cool songs. And then there's other movies that had soundtrack songs that I've liked. And there's a lot more artists that I've liked that I just didn't add more because I figured one page was enough for now. And you guys can get a good idea of the kind of music I like. You know, I don't like one specific type of music. If it sounds good and I like it, then I like it. It doesn't matter if it's blues or folk or jazz or Christian rock songs. There is a few Christian rock songs that I really like that I heard growing up when I was learning about God and going to church a little bit more. And I heard some Christian rock songs. I like some country. There's a few opera songs I've heard that were like amazing. Like that one from The Fifth Element. That was like really epic. It made me want to hear a couple other songs that were in opera, and there's a couple female artists that I've heard that sing like Enya. Enya's really awesome too. There's this one female I found that was on a show, talent show, and she sings just like Enya, and it just gave me goosebumps hearing her voice for some reason. I don't know why. That was so awesome. So, you know, I like Native American songs too, but not all of them. Some of them I like the way they sound with music, and some of them I don't. I've liked a guy called Deep Forest. He shares his own kind of music, but then he shares music from different cultures. But I had one called Bohemian, and every song on that, Bohemian, is different. And I went to his page on YouTube, and there's a whole bunch of songs I never heard. But I heard some of them, and I'm like, wow, these are really awesome too. So there's always more songs you can hear when you have time. So I hope you liked these questions and answers, and you listened to this whole hour. Just comes, I'm looking at my voice recorder. It's an hour long, 59 minutes. So thank you for listening to these questions. And if you have any more questions, add them to the comments. And then later on, I will make another video answering those questions. Thank you for listening. Bye.